This Chiefs Super Bowl preview and props edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is presented by MyBookie.ag. MyBookie is your home for the Super Bowl. Use the promo code SGP and get up to $1,000 in free bets. MyBookie.ag, promo code SGP to play, win, and get paid at MyBookie. We're also brought to you by DraftKings. Download the DraftKings app now and enter code SGP during signup. For a limited time, all new users will get a free shot at $1 million with your first deposit. That's code SGP and get a free shot at $1 million with your first deposit only at DraftKings. We're also brought to you by Ace Per Head. Ace is the leader in pay-per-head providers, and they make it super easy to start your own sportsbook. Plus, Ace is offering up to 6 weeks free over at aceperhead.com/SGP. That's aceperhead.com/SGP. We're also brought to you by PropSwap. PropSwap is America's marketplace to buy and sell sports bets. Go to PropSwap.com to find better odds than your local sportsbook. Plus, when you use the promo code SGP, you get a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's PropSwap.com, promo code SGP. Finally, we're brought to you by Manscaped. Manscaped is number one in men's below-the-belt grooming. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code SGP at Manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at Manscaped.com and use code SGP. Ooh, welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer dog?
We weren't explicit about this. What episode do we get the freestyle? Is that Wednesday?
The Super Bowl,
the picks one?
Official Super Bowl song. I will release the episode we tape Wednesday night that goes out Thursday morning, part 4 of our Super Bowl week of podcasts. We're doing 4 podcasts this week, all about the Super Bowl. This is the Chiefs-centric Super Bowl, and perfect time to bring on our guest, Danny Solomon, writer, comedian, producer, and co-host of the Sorry We Love Football podcast. Danny, how excited are you for this once-in-a-lifetime, hopefully not, hopefully more,
back of the hand right off the bat.
First of a lifetime, your Chiefs are in the Super Bowl.
For starters, I love hearing Chiefs and Super Bowl together. Felt like it was never going to happen. Here we are. I made it on the podcast specifically because the Chiefs made it to the Super Bowl. I feel like it's a Super Bowl for both of us.
Yeah, winners all around. We used to work together, used to write on the show, and we were working together on a show during the week leading up to the Eagles Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And it was just you and me in an office, just messing around, writing some jokes, doing whatever, watching some clips, and just inevitably talking a ton about the Super Bowl because the job was 2 weeks. It was the 2 weeks right before the Eagles-Patriots Super Bowl. And I was giddy. I was so confident. I have moments of doubt when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles, but I really believed, and that team had a lot of mojo, the whole dog thing, and I was super confident. I think I talked you into a Fletcher Cox MVP Super Bowl bet because I didn't see the high-scoring thing. I thought it would be their defensive line dominating the Pats O-line. I didn't see the shootout angle. But how confident are you of a Chiefs victory right now?
Just that week that you had when we were in that room, when you were feeling just, everything was falling into place. It was your time. There was, there were benefits, there were merits, you could say, to the Patriots being, potentially the team to bet on. But you had to go with your heart instead of your head, instead of your gut, and it paid off. And that's how I feel right now. There is a lot of stuff that I could say about the Niners, how good of a team they are, how good their pass rush is, blah, 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 crap like
Nick
that.
Nick Bosa, baby.
But I'm just feeling it. I just feel like this is it. This is going to happen. Andy Reid missed out on that Eagles Super Bowl in order to come to Kansas City and be part of potentially the next dynasty. I'm just going to say it right now, dynasty.
Wow. Well, you got
just to be clear, Sean's heart is in his gut. I just
Right.
want to clear that
Yeah.
up. You kind of
There's a mix of body parts in there that I wasn't sure what Sean thinks with. There's a dick in there too. You might think with
exactly.
that
There's
sometimes.
a giant heart gut core. That is my core. A lot of people talk about their core strength. My core strength comes from my gut handicapping, led to the Pro Bowl over, which we recently cashed on the podcast. Where's your juju at? I know for me, the season is spent dialing in what hat goes with what jersey, what sweatpants, what lucky flavor of chewing tobacco, lime or citrus skull, if you guys are wondering. But do you have how ritual centric are you as a Chiefs fan?
I hadn't been And clearly that was the problem. I had not been working on a single ritual, or at least, like you said, a clothing option. I remember even, as recently as that Super Bowl, that Philly Super Bowl, when we were working together, I had very few pieces of Chiefs regalia to put on before a game. I love the team. I've been following it since Montana. And I'm from Kansas City. I bleed red, which I guess every human being does. But it's just, that's my team. However, I never really liked the money waste that came with buying like a jersey, buying a hat, buying something that cost $50 to $100 when I could barely afford food. So I never had anything. It was actually you, Sean Green, working with you, seeing your dedication, coming in every day of every work week, Monday through Friday, with a new piece of Eagles gear on.
This is what I get for having no involvement in the guests this week. So far, 2 guests, 2 people just lathering up Sean, stacking the money, Green.
I mean, look,
beaming from ear to ear.
I'm not trying to blow smoke up his ass. It's actually, I mean, the guy must have spent more money on this than he does on his wife.
Oh, absolutely.
So there's obviously
No,
that.
I do, but to combine those two things as part of the brainwashing process with my wife, and I put in some work. There was a huge hesitation as an animal lover. The Mike Vick years were tough to get through. She said she was holding out, but once Mike Vick was no longer the starting quarterback, really paved the way. And the way to brainwash your spouse is to buy them, fun, cute, athletic. Like I get her the Eagles yoga pants. Oh, you want a running hoodie? What about an Eagles running hoodie? Oh, what about this cute shirt? What about this cute top? Whatever it is, she has a green light when it comes to any sort of Eagles related merch. And then for one of her Christmas gifts, I got her nice Christmas gifts, but I also got her an Eagles t-shirt as part of the Christmas gift.
Keep it going.
Yeah, you got to get them to buy in. You mentioned Montana.
Them.
Well, whatever. Wives.
There aren't enough hardcore Eagles supporting fans out there. I think we can all agree.
We have to spread the virus that is the Eagles fans. You mentioned Montana, and quick little update. One of the prop bets that we were talking about on yesterday's podcast was, will Joe Montana be involved in the coin toss? Will he do the coin toss? Now, pull back the curtain. One of the founders of Play Balto, sponsor of the podcast, is Nick Montana, Joe Montana's son. Now, I reached out to Nick Montana for some inside information.
Oh, man.
He did not give me a definitive yes or no. However, his response, he did give me a response. I screenshotted it. I put it in the Slack over at slack.sportsgamblingpodcast.com.
Oh.
So you can see that response.
Sean, how much does it cost to join
completely
our
free.
Slack?
Completely free.
It's like a free paywall.
It is a free paywall, Ryan. And like all the content, the picks, the podcast, the posts, it's all fucking free.
And by the way, Sean, just so we're clear,
yes,
we only talked about that prop because I brought it up as a discussion item.
You did not.
You made fun of me for bringing extra discussion props, and now look what we've done.
We created content,
we've uncovered a caper,
and
we've solved it.
There's a great lead over at the Slack. But again, all this free content, the picks, the podcast, the posts, all courtesy of our presenting sponsor, MyBookie.ag. Easy to use, easy to deposit, even easier to withdraw over at MyBookie.ag. And again, getting involved for the first time, use that promo code SGP for a sweet, sweet deposit bonus. Up to $1,000 in rollover bets if you deposit over at MyBookie.ag. And again, one of my favorite things to use on MyBookie.ag, the prop customizer. If you think Damian Williams is going to go off and have 4 touchdowns like Raheem Mostert had in the NFC Championship, they'll give you a price for that. Literally, any sort of bet you want to price, they have that for you. And, of course, all your Super Bowl props over at MyBookie.ag, where you play, win, and get paid, especially when you use that promo code SGP. We also, Kramer, we have a couple
Sean.
Yes, we have a couple Super Bowl stuff of our own. We of course have our Super Bowl Squares contest, and that's pretty awesome. All you got to do is send in a 5-star review of the podcast.
Do you know what else you get if you enter that contest?
What's that?
You get a personal email from me.
From Ryan Kramer, confirming your entry.
That something to look forward to.
And if
hold on, let me look at the personal email from Ryan Real Money Kramer.
And
which, by the way, Sean.
Yes.
I'm definitely 100% probably going to post something to Instagram this week.
Okay.
So I encourage everyone to get out and follow me at KramerCentric.
For the opportunity.
Taking it to 6 pictures.
Ryan really has amassed a decent amount of followers on Instagram for the fact that he has 6 complete posts.
No,
So
5.
Well, yeah, we're supposed to be teasing the 6 Instagram posts. But yeah, if you're doing your own Super Bowl squares at a party, we have a nice little printout sheet there and a Super Bowl party props sheet. What is that? Well, it's like, again, if you're running a Super Bowl contest, you print it out. It's got 15 props, basically a bunch of over-unders, the Gatorade color, the time on the anthem. You circle it, send it in, decide whatever prize pool you want. So all that over at sportsgamblingpodcast.com.
We're making it impossible to not gamble at your Super Bowl party.
Yeah.
You got to have a squares pool. You got to have the props pool.
And our squares pool, again, giving away up to $1,000. Danny,
what's
know
that
this.
cost to enter, Sean?
Completely free.
Jesus.
Danny, you know this as a huge sports fan, living in LA, involved in show business. You run into a lot of people that are, especially at Super Bowl parties, it can be a touchy subject where I'm just here to watch the commercials, or what's that team you want? The red team. They're both red. And
this is the vegan table.
There's a lot of intensity that comes with watching your own team in the Super Bowl. Are you worried about any sort of, laissez-faire sports fans messing up your mojo?
Oh, undoubtedly, because 2 other people who are pronounced sports fans, who are out there in the comedy world, in the world that we float around in.
Yes.
They are having their own Super Bowl parties aside from mine. I'm the Chiefs fan. I should be having the party. These guys are, one's a Giants fan.
Oh.
Fuck that. They're nowhere close to the Super Bowl.
That is a disgusting act.
And being a Giants fan, absolutely ridiculous at this point in the season. It's over for you. It has been for months.
Daniel Jones.
That's just a beautiful song. He does not deserve that. I just think, I'm going to be I've looked at the guest list. The people who are left as the fallout from the other 2 parties going on, they're not my A team.
Yeah.
They're my friends. They're some of the funniest people in the world.
But there's a certain guy, especially in LA, where you have to kind of filter out who you're going to watch football with in Los Angeles. Because you don't want to have to explain what is football, what is that a completion. The squares are at least an easy thing to sell people on. But again, a lot of people go, "Oh, you must be an expert." And I am an expert at sports gambling, but they're somehow paranoid that I control the Super Bowl squares or have it's the most no skill bet of all time. Extremely simple, but still people are like, well, I don't know. Am I going to get killed in this? No. Throw in $10, draw the numbers. It's really that easy.
Also, one of the characteristics you need to make sure you have around you when you're rooting for your own team at a Super Bowl party is these people have to have some thick skin and be willing to see some shit. Because it might get weird or dark. You might get very happy. You might get very sad and say some things you wouldn't normally.
Use some words that are not, in the normal Danny Solomon lexicon.
Oh, I beg to differ, but I have lost people from my activity during a game.
Who have you scared off?
I mean, just last week, our mutual friend and mutual at one time coworker Jamel Johnson.
Jamel, great guy.
Also on our sports podcast, in no way competing with this podcast, which is much more, I would say, defined in terms of its voice. But Jamel Johnson, our friend, basically just he told me that I ruined the entire day for him. He had to leave during the Niners-Packers game. This is a game we won, mind you. But us down 17-7 in the second quarter with all of the bad shit that had happened to the Chiefs in the past. I mean, I've seen it all. You know that. I mean, we've talked about this before, how we've seen the Mariota self-pass, the Luck fumble to himself into the end zone.
Oh, my God.
The other shitty Colts loss with Herm Edwards where we were never even close against Peyton Manning. There was you could rattle them up. Both Patriots losses. Just all of these terrible.
The Dee Ford offsides.
The Dee Ford offsides is one of the worst possible things that could, because we had the guy. We had the best quarterback in the league throwing for 50 touchdowns, 5,000 yards, and can't get us over the hump. It started to feel like it might never happen. And then we're losing 17-7 in another AFC championship game. I wasn't being rational. I reverted to my third grade self, and I told those guys even at the time, like, I've done worse shit. Like, this is not my worst. I remember as a kid, like, there were times in front of kids where I had this giant like plastic Coke bottle that 3 foot high thing that I would put coins into, save my change. I just dumped that shit out on the floor, out of rage. I started flipping off God. That's my move. It's like, fuck you, God, like up to the sky.
But even you're not a super religious guy, are you?
Luckily I'm Jewish, so that
Okay.
allows you some leeway to do
Some
what you want
flexibility.
with God. There's no hell. So I just kind of got away with that. But yeah, I mean, in mixed company, by myself, like, I'm the same dude watching these games. A not cool guy. But luckily,
You go to some dark places. When the Chiefs were down early in that Texans game, only 7-0, because I wouldn't have reached out at 24-0. That would have been weird. I just threw out like, don't blow it, Andy.
You do reach out.
I still kind of, I mean, I believed in Andy Reid and the Chiefs in that game. They were my lock. I think, Kramer, you're also on them. -9.5, it came through. But what was it? Down 24-0. What did you go through? Did you mix anything up? What happened?
I mean, you were talking about rituals. I have my ritual now, which is I have a Chiefs shirt that has sort of like little cartoons of Andy, Tyreek, Patrick, and Kelsey.
Proud parent Tyreek Hill.
I
That says
almost
in
had
his
to throw it
bio.
away. By the way, before I do want to get into this ritual thing, but I do want to
Sure.
point something out that needs to be said. You shit on me a lot for Tyreek Hill and
Yes.
my continued somewhat fandom, obviously tainted fandom of Tyreek Hill, but you have an idol of yours who is guilty of exactly the same crime, and that is Gritty.
Oh my God!
Gritty hits kids.
Hashtag free Gritty. That
Gritty
was a
hits kids, and it's cool with you, but when Tyreek Hill does it,
that was a fucking setup from the word go. They got a crooked doctor. The medical bill was $300. That's not even something you would sue over. Also, you're 13 years old and you're getting pushed by a mascot, and that's assault charge.
Where's the
punched.
father?
Punched.
It's embarrassing.
punched.
Where's
Look-
the father in this
Look
situation?
in that man's eyes, Gritty. Do you think he's a man that can commit that crime?
Classic Philly.
Gritty is a marketing ploy. Whenever I look at Gritty, I see like a bunch
course,
of
he's a
junior
mascot.
executives sitting around a table being like,
And
how
they-
can we go viral?
They nailed it though. Gritty
They did nail it. People
Gritty,
love him.
Awesome.
Or
awesome.
it.
Gritty.
He doesn't identify with the gender. Non-binary Gritty.
But so obviously you're a hypocrite. But back to the Texans thing. So I'm in Vegas. I'm with 9 of my friends. We make it a big thing going out for the divisional because nobody goes for that one.
That's
It's
kind of
actually-
a fun weekend.
It's a
Underrated.
cool move, and it was fun. I had I had that shirt, and then over it I have my Chiefs Christmas sweater that I bought. So I have that two set up, the 2 shirt kind of thing going. I drank amaretto all weekend. When I was
shit.
winning bets, I decided amaretto was my Vegas drink. Turned out to be my lucky win bets drink.
Oh wow.
So I kept that going. So I had a shitload of amaretto in me, and I had my Chiefs hat on, which I loaned to you for a sketch. You've seen it. It's a ratty, crappy hat that my mom got me at a thrift store in Kansas City. But I felt like, okay, this will be the topper. We'll finally get over the hump with this hat on. We go down 24-0. I'm like, this hat is fucking cursed. Andy is, something's wrong. And the hat is the only thing I could control at the time. So when the waitress started coming around asking us if we wanted more drinks, I handed her my hat and I said, throw this in the fucking trash. I just said, throw it in the trash. I didn't want it anymore. And everybody else was like, oh, you're going to want, the Chiefs aren't down that much. Oh my God. You guys know it's real. So
24-0, she got real.
it was bad. We needed to do something. We needed a spark. So when I gave her that hat, she totally obliged me. She was like, are you sure? I said, yes. Throw that. I never want to see that shit again. Bury it under the bar. She took it with her with the drink cart, and then she vanished it. It's gone. I don't know where it is.
It's in a hole in the desert somewhere.
But now
That's awesome.
like Joe Pesci and his brother.
Yeah,
That's
that's
where
all you
it's
need
at.
to do. You need, as a fan, to own some of the mojo and lean into it. I think that is key to making a Super Bowl run. All right, we're going to break down the Kansas City offense, talk Kansas City defense, close out with some fun prop bets. But before we get to that, quick shout out to our boys over at DraftKings.com. Super Bowl 54. Danny, you were actually, again, we were working together in the same office on the same show when I came in after winning $200,000 via DraftKings. Kramer, you were there. You got to see we were hanging out at the Westgate in our hotel room, watching me sweat it out as I'm just hanging on to second place. Already lost first place, $800,000 because Scott Tolzien threw 2 pick sixes in one game.
How many times has this story been told on this podcast, do you think?
A couple.
Well, but when DraftKings.com comes on, you gotta, when they partner up with us, I gotta remind people that dreams can come true over at DraftKings.com, especially when you use a promo code SGP. New users, you get a free shot at winning $1 million, the $1 million top prize. And all you got to do is head over to DraftKings.com, use that promo code SGP. Yeah, single game showdown. We gave out our lineups earlier on yesterday's podcast. Travis Kelce was the M. Night captain seat. But, yeah, whatever you guys want to do, head over to DraftKings.com, use the promo code SGP for a shot at $1 million. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Nice job, son.
Thank you. Kelce is a good place to start, at least for me, when breaking down the offense. I'm a big fan of Travis Kelce. I like him more than George Kittle. He's also he's got his brother Jason Kelce that can talk to him about what it's like to win a Super Bowl week.
Terrell Suggs is on the team.
Yeah, he can also talk about how to look like a giant asshole in a fucking Halloween costume or whatever.
Well, I think Travis Kelce, look out for as much as I like Kelce, his speech leading into the Super Bowl when they won the AFC Championship, where he gets up on stage and goes, "You got to fight for your right to party." Like, come on, dude. You're 25 years old. You're quoting the Beastie Boys.
What's wrong about that? Tell me one wrong statement in that sentence.
It's a little square, I think, to quote the Beastie Boys. Not that I'm the coolest guy around, but I think he could have done better than that. I look at what Green Bay did with Jimmy Graham even against the San Francisco defense. Jimmy Graham got behind him. They had passing opportunities. I think Travis Kelce, to me, is where it starts. I think they're going to roll coverage to Tyreek Hill.
Okay.
I think they're going to say Tyreek Hill can't beat us. But I think Kelce over the middle, Damian Williams catching the ball out of the backfield. That's one thing I'm seeing right away. Kramer, am I right or am I wrong?
Remind me, how does this work? Do I get to talk about props yet?
No,
we will save that for the end.
You're saving that for the end. That's
Okay.
why people tune in. We gotta massage before we get to the happy ending, Ryan. You just can't go in and go,
so-
I want to be finished right now.
Just tap the table when you're ready.
I would be doing our clients a disservice if I didn't point out that San Francisco was the number 2 team against the tight end, according to DVOA.
Yeah.
Now, of late, agreed. Specifically, last 2 rounds in the playoffs, there's been opportunity there. I'm kind of with you. I think that San Francisco has to know that they're vulnerable to a deep ball. They know the Chiefs will take lots of shots. Are they confident enough in that pass rush to not give them help? If not, I think I love the receivers for if you like the Chiefs. And this is what I've done with my DFS lineups. I like just kind of angling where you're just grabbing groups of those receivers.
Yeah.
I really, Chris Giordani, he pointed out Sammy Watkins and his 7 catches last game. That was very nice.
And he's going to be going up against that second cornerback for San Francisco, which Sherman has had a good season, but the second cornerback, whoever they end up starting, he's been vulnerable.
Well, and Sherman's been okay, but again, when you dive into the numbers and you look at DVOA, they're 10th. I mean, he's okay.
Yeah.
But it's speed and it's that deep ball that is where they're going to struggle, and that's the part of the game I think is most interesting because they can't let Hill just undress Sherman, and I think I don't know who.
Darrelle Revis has pointed it out. Revis, it's great.
I love how he's just randomly coming out of the woodwork to shit on Richard Sherman.
You gotta love that the guy's still so invested that he gets on social media just to clown.
Well,
He was a Chief.
Yeah.
Where did he go to college?
Vatech?
Pittsburgh.
Oh, really?
Public school. Where
Okay.
did Richard Sherman go to college?
Stanford.
Private school pussy.
Yeah.
So we like Darrelle Revis in this one, guys.
What are some early thoughts here for the Kansas City offense? What are your keys to the game, Danny, as a fan, as a guy who watches Kansas City offense entire season?
I mean, so we're going up against cover 3. That's what the Niners primarily do. I think the defensive line of the Niners is my biggest worry, but our O-line has been playing very, very well. So I'm not worried about us taking deep shots, but when we played the other cover 3 team that we played this season, the Chargers, they weren't giving us the deep ball, and so we just took everything we could
Underneath, right?
that the defense was giving us. Underneath, a lot of Damian Williams running the ball, which I actually like the most.
Oh, okay.
Out of a lot of these things that we're talking about. Kelsey's a good bet because he's catching those, 5-yard outs, those slants, those in cuts. I mean, Sammy also will catch a good slant. I like McCole Hardman, especially behind,
We threw him as kind of, I think I did, and I forget if you were on it, Kramer, too, but Giordani said too. And again, he's a burner. He's one of those guys, if you have him in there with Tyreek, I mean, Hardman, I think he could get open for just one deep play is very much in the possibilities.
And to continue to further provide you numbers to support the fact that I believe the Chiefs will have opportunity to pass the ball deep. This was the second pass defense according to DVOA, San Francisco, but against the deep ball, 12th. So I think there will be opportunity. I think there's a lot of people that think that Andy Reid's going to come out and bang on the running back a little bit because we've seen San Francisco show weakness there. I just love the matchup. And while the Kramer FML tour is strong, I'm here today with my hashtag coleslaw shirt on, Sean, to stand united with Andy Reid. It's time, Andy. Let me look at you. It's time. You need to let more plant-based proteins in your life, or you're gonna fucking die.
I could see
Did you
him-
see that quote about him eating a cheeseburger?
Yeah.
Like, he's just talking. Like, come on, dude. I mean, I love Andy Reid. I want him to win. I think there's a huge matchup here. He's got the bye. The offense is going to be clicking. And it really comes down to, can they just get enough? Can they block him for an extra half second? I think they can. And I think that matters. And when we get to the props later, I think some of these prices on yardage totals, catch props across the board is giving a little too much respect to the San Francisco 49ers.
Well, and the
defense.
San Francisco defense has been very good, but they've also had games, maybe a similar offense. You look at and similar conditions in a dome, which it should be. The weather looks great in Miami. They have a tarp, or they can close it up, so weather shouldn't be an issue. But look at how the San Francisco defense did against the Saints in that game, or look at that game against Atlanta at home. Julio Jones just went off. There have been games where this 49ers defense has kind of fallen apart. You mentioned Andy Reid and getting the monkey off his back. Andy Reid has more regular season wins, 207, playoff wins, 14, and postseason appearances, 15, than any other coach who has not won an NFL championship. If that's not being due, I don't know what is. We threw it out in the DFS podcast, but I love Mahomes rushing. I think him running the ball, he's these past couple games, 53 yards each game. He's not afraid to use his legs. And San Francisco, third in the league as far as letting up rushing yards from the QB position. I think Mahomes feels that pressure of, hey, in this win-or-go-home game, if nothing's there, I'm going to run. And I could see that being the case where maybe Sherman is hanging with some of these receivers. Maybe they're sitting back in coverage playing the deep ball. But there's going to be, whether it's Kelsey, Damian Williams catching the ball out of the backfield, or just Patrick Mahomes running the ball, it seems like there's going to be a soft underneath belly that the Chiefs, I think, have an opportunity to exploit. One stat that I think, while we're talking about the Chiefs offense, it does come down to them blocking that D-line. That is the strength of the 49ers. Troubling stat for the Chiefs, teams with more than 55 sacks entering the Super Bowl the last 15 seasons. 2005 Steelers won the Super Bowl. 2007 Giants won the Super Bowl. 2008
Yes, they
Steelers
did, Sean.
won the Super Bowl. 2010 Packers won the Super Bowl. 2011 Giants won the Super Bowl. Again, probably a case against Eli Manning being in the Hall of Fame. 2015 Broncos won the Super Bowl. So historically, if you've been able to rush the passer, you've been able to win the Super Bowl.
Well, furthermore, you've been able to stifle elite offenses, right? The 2007 Giants, they stifled that Patriots team.
Yeah.
The Seahawks, they shut down Peyton Manning in that. At that time, he wasn't completely a just bag of rocks. So I think there's a lot. I've seen a lot of kind of the lamestream media attaching to this. In the recency bias, we've seen the good defense beat the good offense of late. We've seen the difference in this in the situation. I think, to me, is I just the teams that were able to win with the good defense, I feel like their ability to do things that weren't just run the ball were all better. Russell Wilson, he could throw the rock. Eli Manning, say what you will, Sean, 2-time Super Bowl MVP. He was throwing the rock. I just don't trust Jimmy Garoppolo to make the throw when it matters.
Well, and neither does Kyle Shanahan, right? Because that's why he only threw the ball 8 times. And even in that first playoff game, he was wild. He was throwing interceptions against Minnesota, and they dialed it back. And then they come back with a game where he only throws the ball 8 times. To your point about defense winning championships, we actually have an article over at sportsgamblingpodcast.com submitted by NFL Pickles, and he makes a great point in debunking defense wins Super Bowl championship. He has a bunch of graphs and charts and DVOA and all that kind of stuff, but
that he worked really hard on.
yeah. To summarize, the last year the 4 teams making it to the NFC and AFC championship were the top 4 offensive teams. So in a weird way, the Rams and the Chiefs were both, the Patriots and the Chiefs, Patriots and Rams last year were both really good offenses. The game got ugly, and it kind of went a different way, but inherently they were top offenses that got in there, and the Patriots were a top offense that won the Super Bowl. So where's your head at with this, Danny? Like, what besides blocking Bosa up front, what are you kind of worried about?
Worried about, yeah, I mean, look, you're right about the pass rush. I just feel, you're talking about like Brady in 2011 or late but not too late Manning. Those are guys who don't run. They stay in the pocket. Mahomes can do it all. And my feeling is anything that I'm worried about the San Francisco defense, and there's a lot. I mean, not just the front line, but also the linebackers are so fast. And, you're talking about Kelsey, like he's good at finding the soft spots in that middle part of the, middle of the field, but those are fast dudes. They can stop him from turning, a 5-yard, hook into the 20 yards that he's capable of doing. So that stuff worries me. I think Sherman's just a smart dude. Tyreek, he might get the better of Tyreek for most of the game. That wouldn't surprise me. But you can't stop everything. And the biggest thing is that we have Patrick Mahomes, and it's like a magic eraser, man. Everything that I was worried about before, he just is like, no, I got a solution for that. I'll just take care of that. I'll take the
and
scuff off your tub.
Not, again, this is where the gut handicapping comes in. He does seem where Jimmy G, it doesn't really feel like his team. Patrick Mahomes, especially when they were down 24-0 against Houston, he was there on the sideline, walking up and down, talking to the guys. You didn't see that out of Lamar Jackson. Like, Lamar Jackson sat there with his eyes going sideways. He was befuddled. He didn't know how to handle Tennessee's physicality. Mahomes, there feels like even though he's young in his career, it does feel like there's a little veteran presence, a little seasoning already early in this kid's career, and I think that could be.
Those comebacks were big time for the confidence of this team.
You saw it at the end of the
Sean, as someone who
has
coached a team through a playoff run into a championship of similar merits on the youth soccer pitches.
Yes.
It's huge for the confidence because now no matter what happens, this team is going to believe. And that is absolutely huge when you're going to play a team that's going to make it difficult to score. Now, we're still talking about Kansas City's offense, I think, and you're still telling me I'm not allowed to throw out props. But we haven't talked much about the running attack, and I think that's the area where schematically there is the weakness. And I think Andy Reid is clearly the best offensive coach this league has seen over the last 2 decades. He's really the only one that's lasted the whole time, and his offenses have been good the whole time. And every single quarterback who's landed in his system has had career years.
He made Kevin Cobb look good
under Andy Reid. So I think the fact that he has the shiniest toy he's ever had, he's got weapons all over the place. He's got the extra week off, which we've seen. I don't know. Did Justin Decker wrote about this? I don't want to steal his stat, but only 1 loss. Coming off the bye in the playoffs, for Andy Reid. So
it was unfortunately the Super Bowl.
it was the Super Bowl,
but he's got
Showtime Mahomes,
and it just seems like a game changer for him.
And everybody who touches the ball can take it to the house. I mean, he's going to do stuff. He's going to do sweeps. He's going to do screens.
Well, yeah, Kramer, tell him your Watkins theory.
I'm a little disappointed in my bookie for
Really?
not having this prop up, but I want to take a Sammy Watkins to throw a pass prop.
Oh man.
I think we are going to see one of two things. He's going to throw a pass either to Patrick Mahomes or to the Belldozer in the back of the end zone.
I love Bell.
We ran the Ferkser train, and now we're kind of
we're hopping on the Blake Bell bandwagon.
Caught more TD passes in the playoffs than I believe any Eagles player.
Oh wow, that was painful and
That was nice.
unnecessary.
I like that. Thank you.
We'll transition over here to the defense, but before we do, let's talk about Ace Per Head. That's right. You ever thinking about starting your own small business? Working a cubicle, hate your job? Why not become your own boss by starting your own online sportsbook? It's pretty simple, pretty easy. You don't have to know a lot about computers. All you got to do is head over to aceperhead.com/SGP. That's aceperhead.com/SGP. They'll give you 6 weeks free, up to 6 weeks free of their amazing sportsbook management software, top-notch customer support, mobile gaming, in-game live betting. So, I mean, this is the week. Start your own sportsbook. Start booking your friends' action. They'll be on their phones, live betting through you. It's a win-win, and you get the 6 weeks free. That'll take you almost to the start of March Madness. Just head over to aceperhead.com/SGP so they know the Sports Gambling Podcast sent you. You talk about comebacks, and we got to mention Shanahan when we talk about comebacks because he was behind the 28-3 collapse for the Atlanta Falcons. I saw somewhere online had 100-1 odds that Kyle Shanahan would somehow blow a 28-3 lead. I don't know, 100-1. It's got to be a little higher, right? I mean, to exactly hit 28-3 and then to blow that, you got to give me a little bit better than 100-1, but that would be certainly one for the ages.
Yeah. He certainly figured out how to just get that butthole nice and tight.
Get everyone super worried. But yeah, as far as the Kansas City defense, I mean, the Honey Badger, that dude's been making a lot of plays. I predict that Jimmy G will throw an interception. The guy has been loose with the ball. I just don't think they can only throw the ball 8 times. They're going to have to throw it more, and I think that plays into Casey's hands a little bit. It's tough to see Kansas City winning the game without getting an interception, maybe a strip sack. Little other prediction, Terrell Suggs will make a play in this game. Whether it's a tackle for loss, a sack, maybe a fumble recovery. That dude is he is just a crazed maniac. He clearly wanted to still play for contender. I think he's going to be hungry out there, and he has a shitload of playoff experience. I think he's going to make a play. Who are you looking forward to from the defensive side of the ball, Danny?
You know, I mean, I could tell you, I love the Honey Badger. I'm so happy he's on our team. He's just one of those guys that, you know how like it's weird. I don't really understand defense as much as I should, but there are some teams that they just get one guy and somehow they go from shitty to awesome. I mean, that's basically what happened. He just fixed everything in the back end. And then I love Frank Clark. I just think he's so angry. He plays with such a chip.
Very angry.
He can get angry at anything. It
On
seems
and
like.
off the field.
Off the field it's a staple for the NFL in general. So you can't really highlight Frank Clark for that. It was years ago. Anyway, the guy I really love on our defense, though, is this guy, Daniel Sorensen.
Oh, man. He was next on my list.
Dirty
it's a football
Dan.
name right there.
I am surprised. I've known him. He's been on our team. He's been the overpaid guy for a couple of seasons. They gave him a contract when Dorsey was there.
He's a guy John Madden would love.
He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
And Andy Reid also loves his fellow Mormons, and he came from BYU.
Oh, really?
Daniel Sorensen,
I didn't know that.
undrafted. He's hungry. He's Mormon. And I've just been surprised at how many times this season I've said, fucking Dirty Dan, do it. Just as many times as I've said it, I'm starting to think like this guy might actually be good. He might actually make the play that clinches it. The tackle he had on Tannehill when after the holding penalty, it was 3rd and 11. After we'd gotten down to a 3rd and 1, we still stopped Henry on that play, but they got the holding penalty, and Daniel Sorensen makes that tackle. He was lights out in the Texans game.
Oh, man, the Texans game, I don't know if you guys come back for that because, what was he had an interception, and then he, on the kick coverage, he
had the punt. He stopped the punt
Oh, he
fake
stopped
punt.
the fake punt with a great tackle.
Yes.
And then on the kick coverage on one of the other ones, he had his helmet right on the ball to jar it loose for the fumble. It's like, dude,
beautiful.
this guy was everywhere.
And it feels a little bit like destiny on a few points with the defense. You're talking about Terrell Suggs. We lose Alex Okafor, like one of the last couple of games of the season. Terrell Suggs just happens to be on the street, and we decide to pick him up. Now he's making plays for us. And, Dan wasn't a starter, but we lose Juan Thornhill in the last game against the Chargers for the season. He was playing really, really well. We have to put Dan in. Suddenly he's a big part of the playoffs. I mean, it's just everything's coming together, and I don't see how the Niners have the same juice going on, how the fates are coming together to bless
Talking
them.
juice.
It's intangible because our defense shouldn't be as good as it is, and it could fall apart at any second, but I just, like you said about the offense, like these guys just believe in it, and that just adds something. I don't know what it is.
Kramer, what do you think?
I
you've
was gonna
seen
add,
Spags in
so-
the Super Bowl.
Well, I'll draw the comparisons, and the Sorensen one is a good one because him and Honey Badger, they create this kind of very, very versatile back end of the defense where guys can kind of be interchangeable, right? And when the Giants did it back in 2007 against those undefeated Patriots, they had James Butler and Jabril Wilson, very similar. Jabril Wilson was the Honey Badger. James Butler was this just crafty veteran who knew how to be in the right spot. And in Spags' defense, that's all that matters because you're going to have a lot of help in the back end. It's all about that upfront pass rush. He's getting it now from those Chiefs players.
Yeah.
He's a one-trick pony when it comes to defense, but I can tell you the players like him, the players play for him. They have the exact model, right? They have their Justin Tuck. They don't quite have a Strahan, but they have a pass rush that's capable of getting there, and they have guys who are competent on the back end. There was a video that was going around Twitter after the Houston game where the Honey Badger, Deshaun Watson looks at the first target. Honey Badger's there. He then juts off to the second target. Honey Badger follows that. He then pulls it down to run and gets tackled by him. I mean, this is the kind of thing where, like, he's when you're playing the guy who's really good at Madden and he plays at the safety and he's just everywhere on the field no matter where you throw it. And it's just like, holy shit. That's the Honey Badger, and it's one of those situations where it's frustrating when a guy like that just ends up on the really good team.
And so many times, so many seasons, we had those plays that should have gone for 15 yards and instead went to the house. And just terrible safety play, even with Eric Berry in. And no disrespect because he's awesome, and he had that one awesome season coming off of the cancer thing. But, the way that our guys are playing now, like they're tackling, they're stopping big plays, and they're getting crucial stops on third down. And it's like I'm watching the game differently. I'm not so scared every time the other team has the ball.
And let's not forget, remember the throw-in in the Alex Smith trade?
Kendall
5-star recruit out of Virginia Tech, Kendall Fuller, of the Fuller franchise.
You're saying the Redskins made a bad personnel move?
They threw in a Pro Bowl cornerback in the deal. And they just threw him in.
And versatile. I mean, he's playing safety snaps now. I mean, he can do those things.
And I'll tell you, I mean, I've seen a lot of really good cornerbacks come out of Virginia Tech. Kendall Fuller was the best one. So he's a badass. I think it's just this is the kind of defense where Spags has it. He has all the pieces. And really what it's going to come down to, because unlike I don't know if this is going to be like a knock him out, shut him down kind of thing, like when he against the Patriots, where he held him to 17 points. But I do think with that offense, because 4 stops, like how many punts do you need to force where you're like, okay, this is good? Because I think that I hard to see the Chiefs not scoring 24 points. Mm-hmm. So how many points do you need to stop them from?
They
scoring?
have a big cushion, and I think if you're a player on that defense, it has to feel pretty good knowing, hey, we let up a big play, or in that Texans game where they weren't in the right spot, there was a blown coverage, and they were I felt like the team was super tight in general, or they get down, they let up some points. How good of a feeling is it knowing that, hey, if we give them the ball back, or if we just make one stop, like you're saying, we got
Showtime Mahomes
on the other end, and he's gonna go off and get us back in this game. All right, let's stop messing around.
One last thing I was going to
Sure.
throw out there, because again, I love to draw comparisons to things that were great in the Giants' past, because never again will the Giants be great under this fucking ownership. But Reggie Ragland, again, I feel like there are comps to the way he plays football and the way Antonio Pierce was playing football for this team. Very smart player. Oh, again, in the right place. So I know people are going to look to the Chiefs' season-long defensive numbers. And again, lamestream media is going to point out these things that are not true about the team today. And again, Sean, we said this on the DFS show. Andy Reid is too fucking old and too close to death to lose to a team where all he has to do is say, Jimmy G, you beat us. Like, you just can't lose to running backs in defense.
And we're not scared of Raheem Mostert, Tevin Coleman, whoever they want to trot out, as much as they tried to make us about Derrick Henry, and he only got 69 yards in that game.
Yeah.
Great point. And the tackling really is key. All right, let's get to it. Let's talk about the props. But before we do, shout out to one of the sponsors of the podcast, PropSwap.com, where you can buy bets from other people. That's right. They have a sports ticket. Like Danny was saying, he was just out in Vegas. Maybe he laid some action on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. Maybe he wants to sell it. Probably not, because he's a Chiefs fan. But you have opportunities to sell sportsbook tickets. And on the other side, you have a chance to buy sportsbook tickets, even in California. You know, it's not legal to bet on sports, but you're allowed to buy these other people's sportsbook tickets. Here's a little example. This week, Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl ticket with a collect amount of $2,800 sold on PropSwap for $1,500. So basically, you're getting minus 115 odds. That's better than, any sort of money line you're going to find in the sportsbook right now. And if you have maybe you have a 49ers ticket to win the Super Bowl, and you're realizing you're listening to this podcast, you go, oh my God, now that I heard Danny Solomon, Ryan Real Money Kramer lay out the case for the Chiefs, even Sean Green, I'm scared shitless. I got to unload this ticket. It's to win a decent amount. You can head over to PropSwap.com, list that sportsbook ticket, and if you're buying or if you're selling, use that promo code SGP. Get a 100% deposit bonus up to $100, void where prohibited. But that's not even a rollover bonus. Basically, if you want to buy a $200 sports ticket, you can do that over PropSwap.com. All you need is $100 and an extra bonus. If you use that promo code SGP, send in a screenshot of you using that to podcast@sportsgamblingpodcast.com. You get a free Lock Dog Tees t-shirt. Doesn't get any better than that.
Gonna put us out of business.
I know, seriously. All right. Enough messing around, just massaging. Let's get to the completion. Let's get to where the meat is cut. The fudge is packed, however you want to say it.
I don't want cutting going on anywhere near my completion, Sean. But I will give you some props.
This isn't a Mike Vrabel is out of the playoffs. No more mentions of that. All right, Kramer, kick things off. What is your first Chiefs-related Super Bowl prop bet?
Well, we started by talking about we started Super Bowl week by talking about how one of the angles is this Chiefs rushing attack versus the Niners rushing defense, which is the weakness of this team. They are San Francisco's defense 13th in adjusted line yards on the D-line and 11th in DVOA against the run. This team has not gone under this total of 88.5 team rushing yards. They've only gone under that once in the last 10 games. It seems almost too obvious that they'll be attacking this angle. So it gives me a little pause, but like I said, they've gone over this total 9 out of 10. It's not a bad matchup. People will point out, San Francisco's got a great defense. They got a good defense. They don't have a great defense against the run. So there will be opportunity. Andy Reid's one of the greatest coaches one of the greatest offensive minds.
Not to win a Super Bowl, but yeah.
For sure not to win a Super Bowl, but he gets running backs to produce no matter what they look like. So 88.5 yards seems silly. They've gone well north of 100 in both games. That
does seem really low.
It jumped right off the screen at me.
As a former tight end, tight end.
Are you
Yes.
self-referencing as a former tight end?
Former tight end. I also worked with a Hall of Fame tight end, first ballot. Rob Gronkowski, which
yeah.
Danny worked on the show as well. We got to witness Gronk not know how to pronounce chore in person.
Jors.
Jor.
He
Kept
says
calling
Jors.
it, instead of chore sports, he kept calling it Jor sports. They're like, all right, Rob, just one more time. He's like, coming up, Jor sports. Now one more time. I think it's the Jor sports. And then finally, the co-host was like, you don't know what a chore is? Like, washing dishes, sweeping floors? And he goes, I never did any chores growing up. I was too busy scoring touchdowns. Just smiled at this big Gronk thing. Again, Kittle, he thinks he's Gronk. He thinks he's king of the bros. There's only one king of the bros, and it is Travis Kelce. I'm taking Kelce to have more receiving yards than Kittle over there.
You're still avenging Zach Ertz's loss in the All-Bro category.
That was bullshit that he didn't get in, and I think Kittle's a little overrated. And I like the minus 1.5 yards, Kelce against Kittle.
That's risky, bro.
Kelsey is a seasoned bro now.
Yes.
He's older. Kittle's too young. He's only broed out for a few years.
He's a young and up and coming bro. I think he's again. This is just. I had the early take that Kittle sucks, and instead of adjusting to the optics or the reality, I'm gonna just lean in.
I'm going all in on Trump.
So. Sometimes you're presented with evidence and you just have to ignore it. I'm locked in on my boy Travis Kelce. Danny, I know you gave me your props. One you liked, McCole Hardman.
I just love McCole Hardman in this game. He caught a pass in the Chargers game to really start the ball roll. This was the Week 17 Chargers game. Caught a pass that got the ball rolling with our offense. Later had a sweep. They're going to use him. They've been waiting to use him for something.
Speed.
Maybe it's a Sammy Watkins pass. I would say if you're going to scheme something like that up, the other end of it is going to be somebody like McCole Hardman. I say McCole Hardman scores a touchdown in this game.
Plus 300 over at MyBookie.
Make some money. This guy, they've been sitting on what he can do all season. They've been waiting for him to get better at whatever the hell it is, route running, timing, whatever it is that he needed to do. He's doing it. He's more trusted in the offense, I think more so than Demarcus Robinson. I think he scores a TD in this game.
Let me ask you, Sean, do you take over 23.5 yards, over 1.5 catch, or over 15.5 yards for longest catch?
Well, and I guess I'll jump to my second one because it's literally one of those.
Oh, wow. Literally.
When I wrote it down, McCole Hardman's total over at MyBookie was 23.5. It's up to 26, or it was 26.5. Now it sounds like it's down to 23.5.
Yeah, dude.
Whatever it is, I like it over. This kid is a burner. I think he can get it in one catch.
Yeah.
Again, speed kills, and I think they're going to be focusing on Hill. He's the one guy I don't think is going to have a huge game. Now, maybe he breaks it off, maybe he does, but I think Salah is going in there with that mindset of we're not letting Tyreek Hill beat us in this game.
So I'm going to throw in a little
Danny,
spice
you're welcome.
Here.
I said Tyreek Hill and beat and didn't mention the off-field incident.
I was trying to move past that. I feel like don't you want to protect yourself against that one catch for 21 yards and just take longest reception over 15.5?
Oh, see, well, that was total yards, but you're right. What do you want to do? So you're saying
I feel like if he gets a catch, it's going to be like a 20-yarder.
It's always a
Does he get
20-yarder.
the second catch to get over the catch prop, to
so
get
you're
over
saying-
the total yardage prop?
I
If you
think-
take longest or first reception is 12.5 yards. Now, hopefully they don't go to a screen or something to him.
Is it a reception? Is it total yards? What are we talking about?
My 23.5 was total receiving
Total
yards.
yards.
Receiving.
But Kramer's making a case here, and a good case, that maybe you're better off just playing the over first catch or just
12
the
and a half
longest
first catch. He's only expected to have 1.5, so maybe 2. And they're saying 23, which means they're expecting 2 catches of 12 yards. That's an interesting way to.
All right, so you talked me into it. All right, give me. I'll switch it up. I'll go over first catch 12.5 yards. No, actually, fuck that. I'll stick with my total because I want to. If he doesn't get it on the first catch, then I have some live bets. I'll already have too much
Sean,
stuff going early.
do I have to see what we're having here? Is we're
I'm
having
getting the synapses are firing in my brain.
Here's what's
with
going on right
game-winning
now. We're in the
opportunities.
car with Johnny, and Johnny's driving, and we just had a discussion that he was going to have with his buddies later.
Yeah.
Now he doesn't have to have that conversation.
Exactly.
We've sorted it out. He's now going to play first catch over 12.5.
I'll stick
and we're
with
gonna,
mine.
And we're going to move forward.
What's your second
That's
one,
the
Kramer?
point of the discussion. Sammy Watkins over 3.5 catches. This is I know I'm chasing a little bit, but I do like the angle that they are going to shut Tyreek Hill down. I like the angle that they're going to try to shut Travis Kelce down, and I'm probably going to attack props around everyone else. Hill and Kelce are going to be the chalkier plays for the yardage props. More people will probably play those overs. So I'm going to attack guys like Sammy Watkins, and I think he is the guy that is going to benefit the most because he's the guy that seems to be running more of their possession stuff. And as they stretch the field vertically, Sean, they call that taking the top off the defense. And that leaves a lot of room in the middle for a guy like Sammy Watkins. So I really like him to get 3.5 catches. I mean, you got to figure how many throws is Patrick Mahomes going to have? I can't imagine he's having less than 40 throws, which means I can't imagine he's having less than like 30 to 32 catches.
Well, and then again, if you take the attempts over or even the passing yards over with Mahomes,
what is that? I should look that up. Right now.
It plays out in both scenarios where either they're throwing the ball a lot and winning, or if they do get down, or if they're behind, they're playing catch up. It makes sense for either a Kansas City win or, unfortunately, a San Francisco win. The over and them passing the ball a lot does kind of make sense. We haven't talked a ton about the running backs. Darwin Thompson, what is he involved in this game, Danny?
I think so. I mean, the over/under was what, 1.5 carries?
1.5 rushing attempts.
Rushing attempts. I mean, there's LaShawn McCoy is persona non grata now. I don't know. He had some fumble issues. He's actually quick, and I have liked watching him break off a few during the regular season.
Quick conspiracy theory. LaShawn McCoy today just announced that he is going to be retiring a Philadelphia Eagle. I think there was a conversation behind the scenes saying, dude, I want you to – Andy Reid's class act. Dude, don't get your hopes up as far as being involved in this game. I love you, but it's not in the cards. And I think he was like, you know what? I'm an Eagle at heart, blah, blah, blah. But I think to me, that's not unrelated.
Let me quick pivot my DraftKings lineup.
Well, maybe I'm wrong. I'll definitely see if he's active. I'll throw him in a random DraftKings lineup because he's my boy. But I think, to me, I was kind of putting those pieces together, and they felt somewhat related. That he just announced today randomly that he was going to retire an Eagle. It feels like, I wouldn't be surprised. And Andy Reid, he's not like Belichick. He's not going to just bench a guy the night before for whatever mishap. And Andy Reid turns a blind eye to players' off the field activities.
He's a helper. He wants to help them.
All right, what are we at? Our third prop here, Kramer. What do you got for your third prop?
Well, we were kind of talking about Mahomes and the completion stuff. 25.5 completions, 38.5 attempts. So even with that number, you're telling me Sammy Watkins isn't going to get
4 of those?
4 of those?
Yeah.
Seems like. Anyway, let's stick with Mahomes. You talked about the rushing prop, Sean.
Yep.
And what is that number?
I mean, again, this is actually my third
Let's
prop
take
here.
Because I'm not taking the prop, but start with that.
Okay, I'll give over Mahomes 30.5 rushing yards. Last 2 playoff games, 53 yards, 53 yards. And there were scenarios where they were up, they were down, there were a variety of scenarios. He's shown lately, he had the issue with the broken kneecap. He got back, he got healthy, and he's not afraid to run the ball. He runs smart. And again, the defense is going to be forced to cover these speedy guys, the Hill, the Hardmans. They'll be back deep. They're not going to – you don't have – against the Chiefs offense, you don't have the option to have someone spy Patrick Mahomes. You just don't. You kind of have to concede that. And I think over 30.5 rushing yards, super easy.
I agree. But you know what I like more? I like laying 20.5 rush yards versus Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
Because Jimmy Garoppolo's total is 3.5. So unless I'm doing my math wrong,
wow, that's great value.
We have a pricing error. So again, folks, check your bets. But yeah, for the same reasons you just called out, I like Mahomes to get involved with his legs. I like the pass rush to get a little aggressive up the field, and I like Mahomes to get loose a little bit. So minus 20.5 rush yards versus Garoppolo. I don't think Jimmy G is going to be running a whole bunch. I know he's got some legs. I know he's incredibly good looking, but we're not talking about student council. We're talking about running for yards in the Super Bowl. Give me Patrick Mahomes.
And another thing is that Mahomes is a threat to throw the ball pretty much at any point before he crosses the line of scrimmage. So
Yeah.
people have to respect it. They have
He
to
did
give
that
him a
little
5-yard
toe
cushion.
drag to keep his foot behind the
Genius.
line.
Ah.
That was great. And again, it's a great way to convert third downs. That kind of tees us up for your next prop, Danny. Chiefs third down conversions. The line set at 5.5. Make the case for the over.
We're just so good at converting these third and longs. These third and shorts have been starting to come in with the O-line playing better. With, who you don't mention when you talk about Jason Kelsey, you got an Eagle alum in Stefan Wisniewski coming in late in the season, helping the run game tremendously. So if it's third and short, we've been doing Damian Williams or some of these kind of, screens or sweeps. They've been going great, especially this playoffs. And if it's third and long, Mahomes is converting those like clockwork. I mean, he's just so good at it. Really, the only worrisome part about that bet is that we never see third down at all during the game.
Well, but I think, again, the way I'm kind of seeing this game play out is that it's less about those crazy deep ball shots and more about kind of picking apart over the middle and kind of slowly, methodically driving down.
Yeah, don't be surprised if we see the Chiefs work the clock a little bit. I really think, Andy Reid is going to bring out his Mona Lisa. And Sean, you already gave out your third prop, so let me jump into my fourth because it kind of piggybacks off the conversion conversation.
Oh, Ryan, before you do.
Oh.
Breaking news, courtesy of Manscaped.com. That's right, it's a pubic service announcement.
You honestly, you got me. That was crazy.
Because I decided if you're going to Miami for the Super Bowl, you don't want to have a crazy long bush. You want it nice trimmed. Danny, you're in a relationship. What does a wife want? She wants a man who cares about himself. They want a man who's grooming down there, who's not they do all these things, the groom and shave and prim and proper. The least we can do is trim our bush for our lovely wives. And wives also love savings. Get 20% off and free shipping when you use the code SGP over at Manscaped.com. It's the Lawnmower 3.0. They just announced it. Again, the Quiet Stroke technology, 7,000 RPMs of hulking pube trimming power. The LED light, which illuminates grooming areas. And maybe you want to, you have roommates. You don't want them to know that you're trimming your pubes. You want that LED light for non-discreet pube trimming. And again, the No Nick Skin Safe technology. I've used it. I am endorsing it on air. I highly recommend if you're looking to trim up, get ready. Go to manscaped.com, promo code SGP, and go on a boat trip of a lifetime.
I mean, shout out to there's a Lawnmower 3.0 in my bathroom right now.
You guys are making manscaping sound so manly.
It is. It's super masculine.
What, you don't want to have a huge dick? All right, cool. No, I mean, that's
it's all about
up to you.
perspective.
It's up to you.
I can't handle anymore, guys.
I bet you Patrick Mahomey is a client.
He's a young man with a young gal pal. I'm
Maximize
sure.
that anyway.
Kick off your fourth prop, Kramer.
Speaking of conversion. Yeah, so you were talking about third down conversions. I want to bring the conversation over to fourth down conversions because that's my next prop. Chiefs get a fourth down conversion plus 110. I think Andy Reid's going to understand the importance of holding onto the ball, bleeding clock, and putting Shanahan on the spot a little bit in terms of how much is he willing to commit to this running game and risk going 3 and out and giving the ball right back to them. So I think there's going to be situations where if the Chiefs are between the 40s and it's 2 yard, 3 yard, they're going for it. They will have supreme confidence in their offense, I hope. And I hope it happens early because I bet you it's going to be scripted. That first drive, hopefully we cash this immediately as they convert 4th down and 2 from the 38-yard line. I was a little surprised this isn't favored.
Yeah, I mean,
another prop that kind of either way, the game can go either way, and there's an opportunity here potentially. To your point, yeah, maybe we're only seeing 2nd down because they're just rocking it. But again, I like the angle here. I'm taking the plus 110. I like the side of getting the plus 110 here. So
Ryan, and this is a perfect transition into my next prop. I'm going to the KC defensive side. You were talking about them, the 49ers, the run game. Everyone's worried about Mostert having another 200 yards, whatever it is. I know this guy. He's going to come to play. He's going to be ripping the smelling salts before the game. Daniel Sorensen, total tackles and assists over 4.5 it's minus 120. But this guy just gets involved. Again, it doesn't matter whether you see the Chiefs winning or losing. Sorensen getting 5 tackles, to me,
Is that
feels like
really the number?
Doesn't that seem comically low?
Well, especially against some of this is for the 49ers podcast, but the way that Shanahan attacks defenses, he attacks the first and the second level really well, and which is why you typically see safeties get involved a lot in the running game and having to clean up those zone reads that get to the sideline 10 yards down the field.
Yeah,
I rarely play those tackle props, but that feels low.
Yeah, and especially it's coming off 8, 5, but especially this particular matchup, the fact that they're going to be running the ball that often, it just really, this dude's going to get some tackles over 4.5. It's one of my favorite ones that I've seen so far in the Super Bowl, and that's kind of saying a lot. Danny, one of your next props, you took a dabble at the whatever quarter to be the highest. What was your thought there?
You know, I people often think that, and it was much lower to bet on the second quarter being the highest because that's what we normally do.
Yeah.
I think because it's the Super Bowl, I feel like there's going to be a lot of back and forth. These two teams are going to know each other. It takes us the first quarter to get going. So we're always kind of soft in the first quarter. I feel like there's going to be a little bit more attention paid by San Francisco to the second quarter, and we're going to need to adjust to maybe an adjustment that they feel like they're going to have to make. And then we come out at halftime, and I just feel like that's when the light show really starts. And I feel like they're going to have to try to come back on that. It's just we've been doing it a lot in the second quarter. And part of this is just a gut thing. I feel like God just needs to hand me a little extra stress because it's the Super Bowl. Normally, I've been waiting one quarter. I think he's going to make me wait an entire half to see everything come together.
And also there's the halftime. Players always talk about that super long halftime. I think if you're a defensive player, you may get a little stiff. You're not warmed up. And highest scoring quarter, third quarter, plus 470. That certainly feels like it's worth the dabble there, plus 470.
And we score so much in the second quarter, but nobody talks about we score almost as much in the third quarter of games. We're just as good coming out of the half. And
Shanahan, Reed, both good at making adjustments. So yeah, I like that third quarter plus 470. That feels a little higher than normal.
There's always going to be a little less, or the first and third quarters will always be juiced up because the clock just ends. There's no penalty in holding the ball and all that nonsense. You don't have the 2-minute drill. But with a team like the Chiefs, why not? It seems like it doesn't matter. Like whichever quarter they get those 3 quick possessions and score 21 points.
Yeah, they could go
could
off
be it.
Anyone.
So, all right, Sean, are you up or am I up?
You can go. This is your fifth prop here.
Oh, so you've given out 5?
I've given out
or 4?
I've given out 4, yeah.
And we're only allowed to give out 4.
You can give out some
Can
more.
I give a shout out to a prop? It's not one of my 5, Sean, but I want to give a shout out to the first pass being incomplete for Mr. Mahomes.
Oh, yeah.
Not because I'm going after Mahomie. I love how State Farm just went after that. But I am suggesting you should bet both quarterbacks to throw their first pass incomplete.
We always do it. It's great. Last year both hit.
It's a long term. It's an equity fund. You know, you just do it every year. You're gonna make money in the long haul. My 5th prop, Sean. I almost gave you Mahomes -0.5 passing touchdowns versus Jimmy G because that also feels stupid easy. You're telling me I can get Mahomes 2 touchdowns and I win when Garoppolo only throws 1 touchdown. To take Mahomes over 2 is -160. To take Mahomes -0.5 versus Jimmy G is -130. Again,
better price.
Shop your numbers. I'm saving 30 cents right there. But again, I'm just giving a shout out. My official one is Chiefs over 2.5 sacks plus 110.
Okay.
Not sure why there's plus juice on the over here. I saw the game total is 4.5. I know we had to stick Chiefs centric, so I might even suggest taking the over 4.5 for the game as a better bet. I mean, of course the Chiefs are going to get to him because they're going to say, Garoppolo, you have to beat us. He's not going to throw the ball 8 times. They're not going to run the ball 80 times. This is going to be a game where Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be forced to put the ball in his hands and make plays, and the Chiefs are built to get after the quarterback. And if his first read is not there, he's going to go down. This of all of my props, they're all just stone cold locks. But
This is a double lock.
if you're asking me which one of these am I going to be cashing by halftime, I think it could be. I think of these whale plays I just gave you, Sean.
Mega
You
whale.
could be cashing the 4th down, the over 2.5 sacks, and the over 88.5 rushing yards in the first half.
You're talking me into more gambling, Ryan. That's what started the podcast. Danny threw out Darwin Thompson earlier, and he liked the over 1.5 rushing attempts. I'll do a little value play.
I love that, by the way.
It's going to happen.
To me, I think in a weird way, there's almost a little bit more value in the over 4.5 rush yards for Darwin Thompson. He's hit that 6 out of his last 7 games. Because then, if you're saying he's going to get 2 carries to 5 yards, that's only 2.5 yards per carry, or he could just get it in 1 carry and then he has 5 yards. I feel like you're giving yourself more options on taking the rush yards versus the carries. He could be stuffed for a loss, but I don't know. I really like the over 4.5 rush yards for Darwin Thompson there. And I don't know. That feels pretty good. Like you can only have so much Damian Williams, who really is it seems like it's going to be Darwin Thompson, right? Not super high on
It's going to be someone. There's going to be a second. And I was actually doing a fair bit of analysis, diving into the over-under 4.5 carries for the Chiefs, or 4.5 people with a carry for the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. And there were a number of games where receivers got carries, Mahomes had carries, and it took like Matt Moore coming in and closing the game out with a knee to get them over 4.5. So while I do think we think of Andy Reid as someone who likes to lean on one guy, it does seem like he's going to give a second guy a carry.
Yeah,
and
at least.
I'm not, it seems pretty clear who that will be.
Certainly it's going to be Darwin Thompson, and 4.5 makes it a little difficult because I can think of 2 other guys who will get a carry, but I can't think of a 5th guy who might get.
Well,
because Matt Moore would have been the guy.
You got your quarterback, you got 2 running backs, and then you have a receiver, and it's like, who's the 5th guy?
Yeah,
right?
so it's got to be both receivers, maybe, and which is totally possible in this case.
Or maybe he does 2 running backs, but yeah, it does. Getting to 5 seems a little high. Danny, the Chiefs have kind of in both games have gotten behind in these games. Your 5th prop here, you kind of leaned into that narrative.
It's so easy. I mean, this is just how every game goes. And again, I think it's just God's way of making sure that I'm stressed out in front of all my friends, but it's going to be a San Francisco lead early in the game. It's just what happens in Chiefs games. We have to take the first quarter to feel it out, to see what they're doing, to see what we need to do. I think San Francisco is going to score first. Regardless of the coin toss, I still think that they're going to lose this game.
So, yeah, you have Niners score first and lose game, plus 350. That is that's a nice little way to hedge your bet. I mean, those double results are always interesting, but certainly
score first? Any score?
Yeah, it just says Niners score first and lose game, plus 350.
It sounds good to me.
Well, and I'll also say this.
I'm writing it down right now.
If you take this prop over at my bookie, think about it. If the Niners scored a field goal or a touchdown even, would you really be able to live bet the Chiefs plus 350? I don't think you would. Even if the Chiefs are down 7 early on, I mean, assuming the score happens in the first or second quarter, you're not going to be able to get plus 350 money line Chiefs. It's a great way to isolate a little.
Here's
value.
the problem. I'm worried for the Chiefs because the clear, and you're probably not familiar with the Kramer "Fuck My Life" tour. It's essentially everything is going wrong with my sports life, and I really want the Chiefs to win this game, and I'm terrified that this Niners team is just going to come out and do the same thing they've been doing to everyone else. I just can't believe it. But as far as that prop, I'm on board. I think there's a very real situation that sees the Chiefs defer because they want to get that bang score at the end of the second quarter, come out of the halftime, score, and I'm pretty sure Shanahan's going to score on the opening drive. Yeah. He's a really, really prepared coach, and I think prepared coaches score on that opening drive. So I like that angle. I'm going to find that. Is that on my bookie, Sean?
Was as of this morning.
Oh, well,
yes.
Jesus Christ.
And also, if they get the coin toss and defer to us, I feel like we'll just have one bad series it always seems to be up top.
Well, they definitely have started rusty in the previous 2 games. So
And into the regular season also games.
to suggest that they're willing to pay that price even with that recency, I'm in. Hook, line, and sinker.
All right, Kramer. Any other props you want to throw out there, or rather discuss?
Well, I one other point of discussion. It's not good enough to throw out on the final episode. One of my really just stone cold lead pipe blocks. But opening kickoff will be a touchback. What are we doing? Why are we?
Yeah.
Why is minus 220 still being offered here?
That's insane.
Really? Are we thinking it's not going to be a touchback?
Well, does Gold have the leg?
Yeah.
So if he's good, then yeah, because Butker always kicks touchdowns.
Both kickers, I mean, unless they're being strategic. The other thing, I already threw it out, but that Mahomes minus a half, that was my other.
Oh yeah, that's easy money. Danny, we did our novelty props on yesterday's podcast, so you sent me over a couple. One involving
let's
marriage
have fun.
proposal.
I just believe Mahomes is living with his girlfriend.
Yes.
And he knows nothing else. I think the perfect moment for him if he wins the Super Bowl is to ask that woman to marry him.
Plus
Boise State style.
500.
Yeah.
Plus
Whoa.
500.
That's like the
Does he
Boise
s-
State running back.
Exactly.
Does he-
Ian Johnson was that his name?
Does he propose in a loss? I'd like to see
He
that.
will not do that. But that's how confident I am that we're going to win this game. I believe if you put down $20, you're going to win $1,000.
Wow. Jesus. They're just printing money over there.
And this one, which is
That seems really realistic. It seems like Patrick Mahomes is a loser. What's
He's
he?
trad-
and it's
traditional-
probably brought to you by
Hold
State
on.
Farm. Their house is going to be insured by State Farm.
Patrick, I'm sure Aaron hasn't give you this kind of information because it wasn't relevant to him. But dude, just a couple years, enjoy it.
Yeah,
Aaron had Jordy the whole time, so
he was a lockdown.
not that there's anything wrong with that, but
He was a lockdown man the entire time. Now, this one, to the conspiracy theorists. Will a sign that says Epstein didn't kill himself be shown? Danny, you like the yes at plus 400.
I don't see how you keep the cameras off of one guy throwing this. People are too
what channel?
creative.
Fox? Oh, definitely gonna.
Yeah,
be
I mean, and the people are going to love it, and there's going to be like 40 of them in the crowd. There's going to be enough signs that the censors can't stop it.
Yeah, that'll be great.
And he didn't.
No, he clearly didn't. And it's funny. It's funny that you even have to be a conspiracy theorist to say that. Like the guy clearly.
If there was as much evidence for UFOs as there was for Epstein killing himself, that would be a mainstream. We would all know that they're aliens,
Yeah,
and we
we
would have
would
dealt
just
with
be
that.
like, all right, yeah, aliens, they're all over the place. Oh man, what a
Sean, we
pod.
just got all these 5-star reviews, and now you're just opening us up for our
No, everyone who listens to the podcast.
T-Gens only army in Middle America who
It's
doesn't
about
want to hear about this fake news.
Make some money. That's all.
It's a guy mispronouncing D-Gens only. It's pretty awesome. And awesome podcast. Thank you for joining us here. Give him a follow on Twitter at Danny Solomon. Make sure you check out his podcasts. Sorry, We Love Football. Anything else, Danny?
Just go. I have an album. It's a comedy album. It's
Yes,
called
very funny.
Genius. It's great jokes in there, but you be the judge.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, Stacking the Money Green, and he is Ryan.
Once again, I wanna make sure people they head over to Instagram and they smash that follow button for good old Kramer Centric, because as I mentioned, post number 6 is coming this weekend for the Super Bowl.
Kramer, let it ride.